hello, and welcome to Sex Is the podcast brought to you by DC Health Sex Is campaign. My name is Poet Taylor from WPGC 95.5. Today we are talking about a topic that, let's be honest, if you're having sex, you should know about it. I'm talking about STDs. Say it with me. STDs, also known, of course, as sexually transmitted diseases. And when I say we're talking about gonorrhea, chlamydia, herpes, HPV, HIV, pubic lice. No questions are off limits today, as we're all learning about them, how to talk about them, how to get tested, and so much more. But first, I got to let you know all about Sex Is. Now, Sex Is a campaign by DC Health that encourages open, honest, and judgment free conversations about sex and sexual health among youth, between youth, and their trusted adults. This campaign was created to share accurate information and resources about sex and sexual health with DCU. Okay, let's get to our panel today. I have missed your beautiful faces, and we have a special guest that we're going to welcome today. But first, panel, please introduce yourselves. We want to know your name, your school or workplace, your DC neighborhood, and your pronouns. Mia, you're right in my eyesight, so I'm going to start with you.
Hi, my name is Mia. I go to Woodrow Wilson High School. I'm a senior. I live in Riggs Park. I'm part of the YAB, and my pronouns are she, hers, hers.
Hi, my name's Jabulani. I'm a senior at Duke Ellington School of the Arts. I'm 18. I stay in Northeast DC, and my pronouns are him, he, and his.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a senior at Banneker High School in Northwest DC, and I'm from Northeast DC.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I'm go to McKinley Tech. I'm a junior, and I'm from Southeast DC.
Hi, my name is Faith. I go to Nova Southeastern University. I'm from Northwest DC, and my pronouns are she and her.
Hi, my name is Kennedy. I go to University of Kentucky. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm from Ward 7, DC.
And of course, my name is Poet Taylor. My pronouns are she and her. And I am from the Great Ward 8 Congress Heights. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And thank you again so much for joining us. I also want to introduce our special guest today. We're talking STDs. That's why we have the amazing Jason Beverley, who is the supervisory nurse practitioner and STD and TB control deputy division chief at DC Health and Wellness Center. He's here to answer some of our burning questions. See what I did there? Burning questions and get the facts straight about STDs. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much, Poet, and thank you, Youth Advisory Board members, for inviting me to be part of the discussion tonight. My name's Jason. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I've been in healthcare for about 30 years, and I absolutely love what I do. I'm very passionate about the work we do here at DC Health and Wellness Center, and I look forward to participating in the conversation. Thanks.
I'm so happy to have you, as I am all of my panelists. Jason, before we get started, could you please tell us a little bit about DC Health and Wellness Center and what resources it offers to DC youth and trusted adults?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked. So, first of all, when we say DC Health, we mean DC Department of Health. We're DC government. And the DC Health and Wellness Center is the STD and TB services clinic here at 77 P Street, Northeast, Washington, DC, 20002. We do all things sexual health and TB here. Tonight we'll be talking about the sexual health services we offer. So that's everything from STD testing and treatment. So your basic STDs or STIs are the same thing, little known secret. So HIV testing, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia testing and treatment. We do rapid HIV medications. If you test positive, we do PrEP and PEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis and post-exposure prophylaxis for HIV prevention. We do some sexual health related vaccinations and some family planning. Everything we do here is at no out-of-pocket expense, and it's confidential. For our young people, and that includes people under 18, you do not have to provide us with insurance or even your home address. You can come without parental notification and consent. You come, give us your name. You don't have to give us address, name and birthday, and all the testing is free of out-of-pocket expense to you, and the results are confidential, and treatments provided if needed. I'd like to say here at the Wellness Center, we're really proud of the diverse staff that we have. We're multi-gender, multiracial, multi-ethnic. We're LGBTQ represented. We have a wide age range, And so when you come to the Health and Wellness Center, you should see somebody on staff that looks like you, and hopefully it helps you feel comfortable in this space.
We are so happy that you're here to help us with this conversation. Before we get into our convo today about STDs, panel, you already know where I'm going. How you feeling, living, loving, laughing, learning? Zoe, I'm gonna start with you because I like that smile you gave me.
I'm doing pretty good. I got accepted into over 20 plus colleges and universities, so that was pretty exciting. I was pretty proud of myself. I also am like just deciding like what college I'm going to, and I'm finishing out my senior year, hopefully strong. But I'm just ready for everything to be over with school, and I'm ready for the summer to start.
Okay. Kennedy, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Semester's about to be over. Just getting prepared for finals and getting prepared to go home for the summertime. I'm excited for that. And yeah, that's about it.
Jabulani, haven't seen you smile in a while. How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, you know. A lot of my days now are dedicated to practicing. I'm a musician, I'm a percussionist. With this upcoming summer, hopefully, spaces are opening back up, be able to get my gigs back, so that's just really what that's really just what I've been tasking myself with lately.
Excellent. I'll be looking out for an invite to a performance. Mia, you're a ray of sunshine to me. How you feeling?
I feel pretty well. I'm trying to finish off my senior year strong, and I'm looking forward to the summer.
So am I. Faith, haven't seen you, so you know I gotta check in. How we feeling?
I'm okay. I'm supposed to be on summer break, but I'm taking the summer courses, so I'm kind of tired, but overall, I'm fine.
Well, I am happy to see your face. And Crystal, hey girl, hey.
Hey, Poe. um, I've been feeling a little tired, but overall, I'm alive, I'm healthy, and I'm well, so I can't complain. I just think everybody's going through some changes, just some adjusting, but definitely looking forward to the summer, pushing through. This May is getting warm. I hope everyone feels this positive energy, these changes we're about to go through.
I like that vibe. And Jason, you may be our special guest, but we have to check in with you and see how you're feeling.
Thank you, Poe, and thanks everybody for sharing a little bit about what's going on with them. I am doing well. We're hanging in there. It's been quite an interesting, to say the least, 15 months here at DC Health, but also personally. I've openly shared about the fact that I had COVID early on in March of 2020, and gratefully, it was a mild case and came through without any serious effects. But not everybody was the same way. But here we're excited about really opening back up. We're seeing about the same number of patients as we were pre-COVID, and I'm really excited about that. That's where my passion lies. So things are we're looking forward optimistically. Thanks.
Awesome. For me, I'm gonna do a compliment sandwich. My dad was really good at this. The good thing, I got moved to morning, so I am now co-host of the Joe Claire Morning Show from 6 to 10 a.m. with Joe Claire. So I'm like, yeah. Not so great, as we know, Jason. We just talked about COVID. Unfortunately, this past March, my dad passed from COVID. It was a lot to deal with. As a happy person of therapy and a cheerleader of therapy, I'm happy that I already had that relationship because it's helped me navigate, but it's also allowed me and Joe to talk on air openly about what loss, isolation, and the things that we've been dealing with look like and how to address them. And then, because you always end on a good note, I had a couple dates. So listen, I am here for all that life has to offer. And with dating comes other things. So I'm happy for this conversation to make sure I'm a 2-3 year hiatus. I ain't forgot about nothing. And if there's anything new I need to learn about, I can. So let's get our conversation started. A reminder that as we go through this conversation, we respect everyone's opinions, their experiences, and we don't yuck anyone's yum. First question off the gate, I gotta ask: where or from whom did you first learn about STDs?
Me personally, I'm gonna be honest with you. It kind of started a little bit with Peaches when she had her little viral sound. Um, my mom, my parents, they never really mentioned it because it's kind of an uncomfortable and an awkward conversation to have, especially with somebody young. But and to be honest, we never had that conversation because I got this job and I got a job with the Young Women's Project, so she didn't need to because the YAB and they were teaching me. So I learned from basically social media and viral videos and stuff.
So me personally, I learned about like sex before I learned about like STDs or anything about that. I first learned about sex around like third, fourth grade, and then I got privy to the STD conversation probably sixth sixth or seventh grade, which is kind of sad when you think about it, but that's the honest truth about it. So yeah, that was my personal experience.
Jabalani, you said it's sad. Why? Would you have preferred that somebody put your hip to the game a few
I
years
just feel
prior?
like I just feel like when you're like at that age and if you're learning about sex, it's a good idea that you learn about all aspects of it. So yeah, I knew about, the good stuff, but I didn't necessarily know about the consequences that could come of it besides, the obvious, which is, having a baby, which isn't, that's not necessarily always a consequence. That's what everybody knows. Not everybody always learns about, you know, the gonorrhea and the chlamydia and syphilis and all that, until a very, later point in their lives.
Mia, you look like you wanted to weigh in on this about how you first learned about STDs or from whom you learned such things.
Well, I kind of had a similar experience with Kennedy. I kind of learned it through social media, but I think that my first experience was kind of like in seventh grade in sex ed, and it wasn't like a very informative. It was kind of just to scare us, and we saw like really like graphic pictures, and like we kind of just went around just learning about it, but it wasn't in a way that told you should protect yourself. It was in a way just to scare us into like doing it. I don't think that's the best way to for anyone to learn about it.
I
Yeah, I like.
remember my sex ed class and it felt like that. That I was kind of being scared, not necessarily taught, and then I was still curious, so I wasn't sure what I was supposed to learn. Definitely understand. How do you guys learn about it now? Crystal, I'll start with you.
I just like to add on real quick, like me too. I really started hearing about sex in sixth grade or whatever, and I didn't learn about it until I was in YAD, like fully. And I was just thinking, like, when thinking from it, like the reason why I was like that is because we're so shielded. Like children are shielded from this idea of sex. It's a stigma, and what happens is like the parents they don't say anything, so they go and explore on their own. So they don't, like Jabalani said, they don't know all these things and STDs and stuff. So they like being unsafe, and it just causes this whole ordeal. But continue on.
So we know how you kind of stumbled upon it in the beginning. How do you learn about that now, or how are you helping your friends learn about it now?
So yeah, now I learned about it mainly still through YAD, what sex is. I'm so grateful that I have learned all the information that I've learned. My friends, they always come to me. They know that I've been in YAD for 3 years. They tell me, "Oh, Crystal, where can I go get tested?" Or, "Oh, me and my boyfriend, we're like, we're getting active. Anywhere I can go to get birth control or get tested." And my first person I refer them to is Jason because I work directly with Jason. It's a comfortable environment. They always they come back to me. It was like, "Oh, can you help me set another appointment to get tested?" It just feels so wonderful that I'm able to contribute to my community like that. In my school as well, when I became certified as a RAP MC, my friends would be like, "Oh, Crystal, you got condoms?" Because I just always had them open, like they were in a clear bag on the water bottle pocket of my book bag. They're like, "Oh, Crystal, you got condoms?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, why you tripping? Like trying to normalize it basically and giving them out. And instead of them going out and doing the things that we're going to do anyway unsafely, I was able to give them that platform, that outlet to be safe and prevent things that as y'all like said, STDs and pregnancies in the future.
Well, Crystal, I might have to send you back with your book bag and your condoms. I saw a recent DC health report that says there is a high rate of gonorrhea and chlamydia among youth in DC. Jason, I'm so happy you're here because I know I can't believe everything I read. That scared me a little bit. Can you talk more about what those studies are, what you know, what they show?
Sure, Ken. And thanks for the shout out, Crystal, and the referrals. I always like to start out with something positive to say before we get to some of the numbers around gonorrhea and chlamydia. And the thing I wanted to highlight tonight is about new HIV diagnoses. We've come a long way in the last 15 years in regards to HIV treatment and prevention, so much so that new cases of HIV are down by 80% since 2007. It's remarkable. Yet, we still had 282 new HIV cases in 2019, which is 282 too many. Some things I wanted to just highlight about that. Of those 282, over a third were in young people. When I say young people, in this case, I'm talking about less than 29 years old. That's more than 100 young people who became HIV positive in 2019. And we're not talking just gay men and boys. Nearly 1 in 4 new cases of HIV. Hear me now. 1 in 4 new cases of HIV between 2015 and 2019 were in women, cisgender women. So everyone who is sexually active in this area without using condoms every time or not knowing the sex of your partner is at risk for HIV. Now, talking about gonorrhea and chlamydia, yes, both are alive and well and happening in DC. We had over 4,300 cases of gonorrhea in 2019 and over 9,300 cases of chlamydia. Why am I highlighting chlamydia? Because chlamydia is an equal opportunity infector. It's about 50-50 between men and women that get chlamydia, and it affects young people much more so than the other STDs. In fact, of those over 9,300 folks in 2019 who got chlamydia, 20% of them were aged 13 to 19. 20%, 1 in 5. So I think the Youth Advisory Board I'm looking at probably falls largely into that 13 to 19 crowd. And if you expand that out to young people, including under 29 years old, it's over 50% of the chlamydia cases. In DC, yes, we are third in the nation in metropolitan areas for gonorrhea incidents, and we're second in the nation for chlamydia. So what you read is true. We are dealing with rising cases of gonorrhea and chlamydia, and especially chlamydia among young people.
Hey, panel. Knowing those age ranges and those brackets, what do you think about this? These are your peers. Faith?
I think that a lot of people our age don't think that like getting STDs is common. Like I know we hear it and oftentimes it's just like a scary thing and it's like stigmatized, but I don't think people understand the severity that comes with it and the risk of having unprotected sex as well as how common it is to actually get.
So why do y'all think there's such a high number of young people with STDs in DC?
I definitely think it's about like um lack of lack of education. Um, like you said, like when you were in school and you were having your sex ed classes, it was really just you know mostly about putting that fear in kids to not have sex versus really like educating them and letting them know like how they can protect themselves against those STIs and STDs. And a lot of kids are curious. A lot of kids, they kids, they getting older, hormones starting to kick in. They starting to, get curious and everything. But when you don't have that education on the right way to do it, and you just do it anyway, a lot of times you're going to get, these cases where you look up and now, oh shoot, I'm itching, my pee pee burning, and this could a lot of it is preventable with the right education, with the right conversations, but for some reason that's not prevalent a lot today, and a lot of people are just may find out or may be exposed to that through like social media, like a lot of our like a lot of our members may be exposed to it through social media versus like having a conversation with a trusted adult or being taught in a classroom. So.
Do you think spaces like Sex is DC, like the podcast that we're doing, is this something that we should start telling school systems? Maybe you need to run these through, have people have these conversations, maybe have a YAB member pop up and do a conversation. Do you think maybe that would make these kind of conversations a little bit easier and would
Yeah,
kind of feed
sorry,
the knowledge? Go ahead. No, not a problem.
cut you off, but yeah, most definitely. Like if like yeah, us yeah members, we're doing. I hope we're doing our jobs and educating our peers and friends and all of that. But it definitely helps when it's not just us being educated. When we can educate others on a bigger scale than just one or two or however many friends. When you have like an actual classroom of 20 to 30 people in a classroom, that's it's a lot more effective than just your personal friend group.
So, question to the panel: do you talk to your friends or trusted adults about STDs, or is this just information that y'all talk to like amongst each other because you're in this space, or are we having like full-fledged conversations in group chats?
I wouldn't say necessarily full group chats, just dedicated to STE conversation. It's definitely like it's definitely a topic amongst my friends because I'm not gonna say we out here, but we out here.
Okay.
So me being in this program is better that I let my homies know like what's good versus they come to me like, bro, I think Shorty done slipped me some, and now you in a situation. So yeah, for sure, you gotta have those conversations. And if in like you're not like necessarily comfortable having those conversations, it's more of a disservice than just putting that uncomfortability aside and making sure that you and your peers are safe.
I appreciate that insight. Faith, I'm gonna come to you. How do you feel when you talk to your friends about STDs? Like, how do you even start the conversation for those who are watching this podcast and are like, I got some friends that could benefit from this information, but I'm not sure how to give it to them.
Well, I feel like since I'm now in college, those conversations are more like normalized and it's not like weird or awkward because a lot of people are sexually active in college. So, yeah, I just feel like when having those conversations, I've learned that a lot of the kids are just really uneducated because there's not a lot of programs like sex is that's like across America. So I just feel like I'm happy to be in sex eds so that when I go to college, especially like in the fall, I can like help educate the people who may not know certain things because a lot of people are just truly ignorant and like they want answers, but they are asking other people their age because that makes them feel most comfortable. But a lot of people our age don't know the answers, so it's just kind of like blind leading the blind type of thing. So yeah.
Zoe, do you ever talk to your friends, not just about STDs, but effective ways to prevent STDs?
Um, Yes, I do. It actually comes up a lot because me and my friends are very open about what we're doing and what we're not doing, what we're okay with, what we're not okay with. So we just have those conversations, and when we do, of course, STDs come up and how you protect yourself from STDs. With sex comes pregnancy and a whole bunch of stuff like things like that. So like condoms are a big thing within me and my friend group, like condoms and birth control and different aspects like that. I also have like a lot of cousins my age, so when I'm talking to them, it's like, okay, you're using condoms, right? Because it's not like, okay, I'm talking to my cousin with a girlfriend, even though I would encourage the same thing. But I'm talking to my cousins and they just be, like Javilani said, they be out here. So when they're out here, I just be like, okay, make sure you're protected, do what you want to do. I'm not going yuck your yum, but I'm going yuck your yum when you're out here and you're just doing anything without a condom and the repercussions of it. Especially when you have like a cousin like me, I'm so open, I'm gonna talk to you. But when the conversation of STDs do come up and okay, I think I may have this, I think I may have that, or I think something may be wrong, okay, we're gonna get checked and I'm not going to judge you. We're just going to figure out what's the next step.
I like that. Crystal, why do you think people don't like to talk about STDs? Is there a stigma there? Like, why we talk about everything else?
I'm so sorry, Kennedy. I see you talking. I'm gonna throw it to you after me. But definitely, I think around like teenagers, the stigma to not talk about it because especially in African American households, I can speak for. When you start talking about sex, it's not oh, here's what you need to do to be safe, and here's what you need to do it correctly. But it's always a don't do it. So now these kids they grow up and they're going having all these hormones and they're going through puberty and they're like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know anything about it. I don't know what the consequences are. So I go out and I do it, and bam, I have a child, or I have an STD, or I'm feeling some type of way, but they feel uncomfortable to go to the people that they believe they can trust. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm just here, and now they just have it, don't know if they can have it, don't know where to get tested. So I think saying that, throwing it in a sense, I think that's something that just needs to be presented to youth through social media, because that's where a lot of our youth rely, like, well, that's where a lot of our youth reside. So you have to present the information like we do. We just our members. We work hard to put information together about posts and put it on there, and we repost it on our pages, and it gets reached out to others. And me, personally, I know a lot of other members do it as well. We'll talk to our friends. Our friends come to us. They tell us like, "Oh, I need to go get some birth control." Me and my partner getting active. I'm like, "All right, bet. I got you. I'm gonna send you to Jason." Or you can go to sexisdc.org to go, locate which one is closest to you. My main point is, you just have to present that information to youth because 9 times out of 10, they're not learning it in the places that you believe they would. It's not their homes. It's more so the internet. So I think our platform on the internet is just further building that relationship with that society.
Kennedy, you wanted to chime in?
Yeah. To be clear, the question was, is there stigma around sex, right? Um.
And STDs or getting tested or telling your parents. So I'm just curious about what kind of conversations you've been privy to help those that are watching.
Okay, so I agree with Faith. I definitely think it's different when you're in college because a lot of people think like it's an age limit when it comes to sex. So if you're a virgin going into college, you're kind of like lame or like you just craving it. You know what I mean? Like you got to do it type thing. And then also when you get here, like for example, at my university, we have our university cards have money on it, and it comes with like cash on a meal plan. So you would go to the pantry and you have condoms there, and condoms are like maybe $10 a box, and there's only like two in there. So that's my food. So why would I spend $10 on two condoms when I can just, trust in the pull out method and keep it moving and, go and get my lunch or my dinner, something like that. So I think that it is a stigma around it, but it also kind of goes away when you in college because everybody's doing it. It's no big deal. What it is type thing. People can come in your room. You don't got no parents there. It don't matter. Like we grown. Nobody can tell us what to do type thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think the stigma goes away once you get in college.
What about before you go to college? Think about when you were in middle school and high school. Were there conversations about getting tested before we got active or intimate? Were you afraid to get tested for fear that something might come back and now you're getting talked about in school?
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like maturity to have those conversations. Because a lot of people like, in middle school and as sad as it is to say in high school, real conversations about, like getting tested and what to do if you have an STD, because a lot of people just focus on the fact that, oh, you got an STD, oh, you burning, yada, yada, yada. And it just becomes like this, a point at the person that's infected or is positive, and it becomes a ha ha, you got herpes, or ha ha, you got chlamydia. And it's not like, how can we, help this person, um, move past it, you know? Um, yeah, that's just my personal take on it.
Now, we've discussed condoms a couple times even during this conversation. I remember in the last episode we talked about condom negotiations. What about STD testing? How can we approach a partner about getting tested?
I think that STD test, like when you're in a relationship or something like that, or you have your partner, and that's a conversation that you guys are having. I feel like getting tested together is very beneficial, and not just on a like physical level, not just on a physical level, making sure y'all both are clean, but like also like strengthening your trust in each other and strengthening your relationship and bond, because it opens doors for more than just making sure your partner isn't positive with anything. It can lead to like it can, yeah, just a stronger relationship. You get tested together, and assuming everything goes well, it's sort of like relief, like a breath, like a deep breath almost between the two of y'all, because it's like there's no more gray area, there's no more gray areas, no more uncertainty. We're 100% transparent with each other. I think it just adds another layer of trust between the two.
Appreciate that. Zoe, it looked like you had something that you wanted to add.
Um, yeah, so I just think that it's like when you approach those conversations with your partner, like, oh, I want to get tested or together. Me personally, I feel like I shouldn't feel awkward coming to my partner about about getting tested. I feel like if you feel like you're uncomfortable having those conversations with your partner, maybe you're uncomfortable, like your feeling of being uncomfortable should tell you something right there. Like, okay, maybe you're not ready to have sex with your partner. So, just the question of getting tested in general will just the question of getting tested in general will like mold you into like whether or not having sex with that person is the best idea. Because if you want to go get tested and you're like, oh, okay, babe, I want to go get tested, and they respond poorly, okay, maybe that should tell you something about your partner. So, um, just the idea of getting tested is great in general because you go get tested, your partner responds positively. You go get tested with him or her. Say something isn't right with one of you or both of you, or then you handle that right then and there early in the relationship, or not, maybe not even early in a relationship, but just early so that you catch these things and you can take care of them, rather than them getting worse with you both having those issues.
I agree. Jason, I know earlier you talked about the services that youth and trusted adults can get at DC Health and Wellness Center. How can a young person schedule an STD test? Can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So here at the DC Health and Wellness Center, we can coordinate confidential testing that doesn't require the consent or notification of an adult. Right now, you do that by appointment. 202-741-7692 is our number. During non-COVID times, we do walk-in testing, so you don't even have to have that appointment. But right now, we're doing appointments. The appointments can take anywhere from about 20 minutes up to an hour, depending on what you're coming for. You do have the option of just doing testing and not having to interact with a provider like a nurse practitioner or physician. If you feel like you don't need to, you're not having symptoms, you haven't been exposed to anything, you can just do your tests, head out, and then check your results. But if you have questions or you think you might be having a symptom, there's no such thing as a stupid question. You schedule an appointment with one of us, ask whatever questions you were always afraid to ask, and that's the best time to have the open, honest discussion. And I really wanted to just piggyback on this great idea I've heard about getting tested together as a couple. And we do that for a lot of young couples. One thing I encourage people to do before you come for that test, have the discussion about what happens if somebody tests positive. Because this sex positive campaign, we are all about it. I want to help you do whatever you want to do as safely and as pleasurably as possible. That sex positivity continues even if somebody tests positive. All of a sudden, we don't turn sex negative, right? We don't use these numbers, 9,300 cases of chlamydia in 2019, to be like, woo, 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 scary, 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 fear-based stuff. No, those are 9,300 people who took the adult step The young adult step to know that they had chlamydia so that they can get it treated so they don't give it to somebody else. So we don't look back at them and say, oh, dirty, 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 you had chlamydia or whatever. And that's including the new partner that you're coming to get tested with. So I encourage you to talk about it, work through it, get it, whatever it is, even if it's something we don't have a cure for, we usually have treatments that make it less likely that you pass it to each other. Gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, we have cures for those, easy one-time treatments in many cases. So those sort of discussions, the more you have them before you come, that way when we pull you back individually and talk about your results, and then you have to disclose maybe a positive chlamydia result or something like that, that way it's not coming as such a shock, and it's something that you guys can address together.
Thank you, Jason. So, panel, I got a question for you. If your partner got tested and the test shows up positive, how should they tell you your status? Well, their status.
I would say personally, I would just be, if it was me in the scenario, if I tested positive, I think that the best option would just to be like open and honest. You were kind of talking about this before, like if you're having sex with a person, you should feel comfortable enough to just be honest and communicate with them. If my partner turned up positive as well, I think it would be the same thing. I would expect them to tell me. I would expect them to just be open and honest without any judgment. And I kind of like what Jason was saying about just being positive even when you test positive, because I think that that's when people kind of get scared and kind of become more negative, and like that's where the stigma continues. But I think that just being like open about it and just saying like I have it, and then like figuring out the next steps together and what you're comfortable with, I think is like the best way.
Kennedy, I saw you ready to chime in.
I think if my partner was positive, I think they should just be straight up and tell me, because now they spreading it and now it's becoming more of an issue than what it really is. Well, it's an issue if they positive and I'm not. But if he's like, yeah, he just need to tell me. That's pretty much it. Like, he just need to be straightforward and let me know what's going on so we can be able to communicate and have a plan so he can get treatment so I can get tested myself. And just, it's a lot of things that go with that. So you just need to be straightforward and tell me before anything else happens.
I agree. Crystal, what's the best way to approach said conversation? Now, somebody that tested positive, somebody hasn't. Is this a let's sit down to a dinner? Should I call you on the phone? What would your best advice be?
My best advice would be to be in a, a calm, chilled environment, so you can maintain that level of energy, because that can get like, and that can be a pretty heated conversation. So I think when you address it, say you're like in a car, y'all just eating food or something, y'all both are open a conversation. You can be like, hey, I think we should do such and such, get tested, or if they already got tested and they're like, oh well, you have this and I have this, what's going on? You got tested positive and I didn't. What's going on? They don't know what happened. They could possibly had it from a previous partner. So I think that in a chill, calm environment, a dinner, maybe a home setting while you watch before you watch a movie or after, maybe just make sure y'all both are open to having a conversation. And I feel as though if somebody isn't open to having that conversation, obviously we don't want that, right? We don't want anybody that doesn't want the best for us and to protect us. So I believe just, be open minded to how they feel, and hopefully they're open minded to you. And if they don't reciprocate your energy, I believe my best advice is to run, because it's you over everything.
Mm. Now, since we have an expert here, thank you. Uh, Jason, we talked about I've tested positive. Can we talk about treatment? And before we get into the treatment of the different STDs and STIs, if a young person goes and gets tested or treated at DC Health and Wellness Center, would their parents find out and know about their results? Because I figured that could be something that hinders me from even getting a test if somebody could find out, let alone my parents.
Yep, very good concern, and one that we recognize people have. No, the short answer is no. Your parents will not be. We will not disclose results to your parents. If you don't want them to know, they will not know. Sometimes people are concerned. Well, if I use my insurance to cover the cost of the tests, that's why in people under the age of 18, we don't even take insurance information, so that we rule that out as a possibility. And even people over 18, if they tell us that's a concern for them, We don't take any information that would even allow the potential for something to be disclosed, even accidentally. It's something we take very seriously, the confidentiality of young people. In DC, there's some of the broadest minor consent statutes in the nation, which allows minors to be able to consent on their own without parent or guardian notification for a wide array of sexual health related services. So the power is in your hands, even as minors, to be able to access testing and treatment for STDs.
Well, since we're on the conversation, Jason, what services does DC Health and Wellness Center provide for youth who might test positive for an STD?
Yeah, so we have most of the treatments. So if we're talking about something that is curable with 1 time or 1 week worth of antibiotics, that includes gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. It includes trichomonas as well. We don't talk about as much, but those are either 1 time or 1 week treatments. They're provided here at no cost, and nobody needs to be notified that you were treated. Even if we identify something that's not as easily treated, but something that requires ongoing treatment, in the district, you, as a minor, can access those services as well. So that includes HIV treatments, herpes treatments, hepatitis treatments, these things that may not be as straightforward in terms of time because they may, in some cases, not be curable. But we have the ability to provide access at little or no cost for even these chronic sort of conditions.
I'm so happy you're here because when we know better, we do better, we move better. And actually, at this time, I want to turn it over to my esteemed panelists. We have an STD expert here with us today. What questions should we ask so we can help everybody in the village?
I guess I can go first. So the question I have is a bit more, I guess, opinion based on your part. One thing, I was wondering is what do you think about the representation of sex positivity and safe sex and getting checked? What do you think of that representation as it goes in the media? So say like TV shows, movies, the music that we have.
This is a great question. My opinion is that um, many times things in entertainment, the drama side of things is always elevated because things are exaggerated. And so, one of the things that just breaks my heart is kind of the ways in which people have been shamed around herpes. And, even some famous figures, we've heard rumors that there are lawsuits filed and all this information that's out there on social media, some of which is probably accurate and a lot of which isn't. I think it goes a long way to reinforcing stigma and negative thoughts about talking about things that are stigmatizing, even like herpes. I think there are some positive things that I see, Jabalani, about sex positivity in the media and in entertainment. And it has a lot to do with the different types of stories that are being told about sexuality and the spectrum of sexuality and the types of sex that are being depicted on television and in movies, different ages, people of different backgrounds, a lot more stories around people of color, and sex positive relationships. Not everything is good, but I'm generally encouraged instead of discouraged. But there's probably a ways to go.
We have time for a few more questions. Who'd like to give one next?
I had a question. I asked a couple of friends if they could chime in or if they had any questions about STDs or STIs. And one interesting question that came up was, is it illegal to withhold information that you have an STD when you're having sex with a partner?
Yeah, this is a good question. So I'm not aware of laws regarding mandatory disclosure of things like gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis. There are laws in place about disclosing HIV status. However, they're problematic. They are not typically enforced, and they can reinforce some shameful messages around HIV and people who are living with HIV. So, generally speaking, a lot of us in public health kind of shy away from the mandatory legal requirements to disclose. And we talk more about encouraging people as part of being responsible young adults that part of being sexually active includes being able to disclose, right? Empowering people to disclose, give them the information and the words to use to be able to disclose. We know that legally mandating people to disclose, hey, it hasn't really worked. So we look for more for ways that don't involve punishment and guilt and shame reinforcing messages. We really try to get people to a place where they feel comfortable and confident enough to disclose to their partners.
I guess another one I will have was what do you feel for any, I guess, trusted adults or parents or even teachers listening? What do you feel is a good age to begin the conversation on, you know, um, protection against STDs or just, that conversation in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know that developmentally children are ready to hear certain things at certain times. What I wish that my fellow trusted adults and parents would do is respond as honestly as possible in the moment. Most of the time, children, when they're looking for information, will ask about it, especially before they learn that there's something special and kind of embarrassing about sex. What's wonderful about young children is they haven't gotten that message yet that society is giving us that there's something to be ashamed of or embarrassed about around sex. So they'll start asking questions. If your 5-year old asks where do babies come from, do you have to hit them with the syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia message? No. But when you establish that early on, that we're going to talk openly and honestly as possible based on your developmental level, then when they're asking the questions in there in fourth and fifth grade, maybe that is a better time then to start introducing, like, yes, this is a great thing that people care about each other do. And there's some things that that are part of having sex that you have to be aware of, but not making it the big monster under the bed kind of a thing, but establishing that honest and open communication and leaving the embarrassment and shame out of it early on is probably a goal for us.
Oh, Jason, I'm so happy you're here. I'm just going to go ahead and take this moment to say if you're a trusted adult in the village and right now you're like, I still have questions, at sexisdc.org, there is a trusted adult guide that has helped my aunt, so I know it can help you. Um, I've learned so much today. I think we all have, but we can't miss this opportunity to tell you about two really, really great resources that DC Health has to prevent STDs. Who wants to help me share this wonderful information?
I got you. So pretty much, if you stay in DC, if you got a DC address, you can get free condoms and lube, like, lube and all that good and all those goodies sent directly to your house in discreet packaging. I've personally done it. Came in a sleek little brown envelope, parents didn't know a thing, neighbors didn't know a thing, and to do that, all you have to do is go to sexisdc.org /free condoms, and DC Health will mail them straight to your door.
Well, thank you. And then who wants to give the deets on the second?
If you want to get tested for HIV or STDs, go get tested at getcheckdc.org, and you can order a free test kit that will get sent to you discreetly. And if you don't want it to get sent to your house, I believe, Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You can get it sent to. Can you chime in, Jason?
Sure. So there's three different aspects to the getcheckdc.org, Crystal. Two of them do involve packages being mailed to your DC address. That's a free HIV test kit that you do in the comfort of your own home, or a 3-site gonorrhea and chlamydia test kit. What do we mean by that? Well, it can do urine, do rectum, it can do throat swab. You collect those in the privacy of your home and send them back in the mail. But there's a third one. If you don't want anything sent to your house, we can send in orders to LabCorp, and you can present to any LabCorp draw site, and you can either do it by appointment or walk-in, free of charge. You go, you can do your HIV test there, your HIV STD test there, and then find out your results on the LabCorp portal or from us.
Yeah. Y'all are so awesome. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. If you want to catch our first 5 episodes, because you know this one was like that, go to sexisdc.org. If you want more information, please visit our website is Please visit our website at sexisdc.org and follow our social channels. We got you with all kinds of great information that then you can pass on too. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram at sexisdc. It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none, so I cannot go any further without saying thank you to the best panel to do it since it's ever been done. Jabulani, Zoe, Crystal, Mia, Faith, Kennedy, our special guest, Jason from the DC Health and Wellness Center. You guys are so, so awesome. And Village, you already know, we look forward to seeing you again next time because, you know, when we know better, we do better, we move better. That's your episode on STDs with Sex is DC. Do we get to dance our way out of the episode? Do we get to do a happy dance because we taught people things? Yeah. We're going to dance because we know more.
Yeah.
We're going to dance